If you want to become a true master of your reality, if you want to manifest exactly what you want into existence, you need to understand the law of exchange. The law of exchange is one of the most important laws that you need to understand if you want to become a creator of your reality. If you want to create your reality the way that you want it, not the way that somebody else wants it for you, then you need to understand the law of exchange. If you want to create what you want without taking away from somebody else's reality and believing in lack-based belief systems, you need to understand the law of exchange. This is a critical law that you need to understand if you want to really manifest your reality. And this is why we're going to be talking about it in this video, and how to use this law to bring in exactly what you want in the most effortless and easeful way possible. So this is going to be the law of exchange, how to master your reality, not someone else's. So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that notification bell because I do post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video. Now, number one, the first thing I want you to understand when it comes to how to master your reality using the law of exchange. And by the way, what is law of exchange, before I go into number one actually, is it just balancing your giving and your receiving energies. That's what it is at the core. Now, number one, what I want you to understand with that being said is never over polarize your giving and your receiving energies, because that's what the law of exchange is. The law of exchange is about you giving and understanding that once you give something, you will get something back. And giving is actually an intention for something. Giving is intention. That's what it is. Yes, you're giving just to give, but in a certain way, everything that you say or do or any energy that you push out is an intention, masculine-based energy that can be done in a conscious way, it can be done in a conscious manner, or it can be done in an unconscious manner. Now, I'm not saying that giving more sometimes or receiving more sometimes is not a good thing. In fact, I encourage you to sometimes polarize and to receive. So before I record a video, I like to make sure that my cup is totally full and that I'm totally filled up on my power. I'm totally have received everything I need to receive so that I can be a powerful giver in the next moment, so that I can actually give. Because if you powerfully know how to give, then you'll know how to receive, and vice versa. But with that being said, jumping from polarities is fine, but you never want to over polarize your giving and receiving energies, because when you find your personal balance, this is when you start to manifest things, because you're perfectly balancing how life really works at the core. Because if you're giving too much, if you're trying to intend for something too much, now giving should be done unconditionally, but you can still have, from a space of unconditional love, preferences for what your personal ego, or so to speak, I don't really like the word ego because people have different definitions for that, so I guess a better word is just identity. Whatever your personal, like, human identity wants, you can own that fully. So giving with intention to receive back later is fine, but that should be coming from a space of unconditional love as well. But we'll talk about that in another video. In this video, the most important thing that you got to understand before we go deeper is just that you don't want to overly give. You don't want to give too much, because that's when it's not coming from unconditional love, because you're giving so much and you believe you have to give that much. You have to give. If you're giving because you have to give, that's not unconditional love. And that's not giving without expectation. Now, I'm not saying that you should only give 24/7 and then not receive back, because that's also not unconditional love, you see? But what you want to do is, if you feel like you have to give, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. And what you want to do is you want to be conscious when you're over polarizing. Maybe you've been receiving so much and your cup is so full, you have this urge to give, but because maybe you read in a book somewhere that giving is not a good thing, or I shouldn't be using my mind, and I shouldn't be connecting with people, and I shouldn't be giving energy, I just need to receive and accept the present moment. What's happening is that now you might be shooting yourself in the foot as well, because what's happening is that you have a calling to give, There's a genuine calling that's probably coming into your mind to go live into some sort of intention to give. And when you're living into intention, that is giving. Giving and intention are almost the same thing in a way. When you're giving, that is an intention. You're intending to give consciously. You're giving energy to that person or that situation. Or you're receiving an intention, then to act on that intention. Really, that's how it's really working from an absolute perspective. But also at a relative perspective, you're intending and creating everything every single moment. And so I'm kind of going all over the place here, but the key is to never overly polarize. Don't overly give. Don't give too much if you know you don't have the energy to give. And if you're receiving and you have a calling to intend for something and to go do something, whether that's to give or to act or to do something in a certain way, what you want to do is you want to honor that 100%. You have a calling to give something to somebody or to just act on an intention, and that is giving. That is actually giving. When you're acting on an intention, you are giving in a way. That's what's happening. What you want to do is you want to fully honor that from that space of non-resistance, because if you don't honor that, then you're going to imbalance your energy field, and actually it won't be even coming from a space of acceptance anymore. Now you're going to be in an ego-based unconscious resistance pattern, and you don't want any of that in your life. So the solution is to never overly polarize. Now, like I said, just to give a quick caveat here, if you want to overly polarize consciously within a conscious intention to do so, to then allow yourself to then come back and polarize to the other direction, and you're doing all of that consciously, then that's fine. But you can sense really in your state of being when you're doing it because of a space of have to. If you want to genuinely receive more and to give more in a particular moment, then that's totally fine. But if you feel like you have to polarize for whatever reason that you've came up with in your mind, you're actually slowing down your growth. If you feel like you have to because it's an obligation, you're over polarizing potentially, and that can be a big problem. Now, number two, if you become a powerful giver, you will become a powerful receiver, and vice versa. This is how reality works. If you want to receive everything you've ever wanted in your life, if you want to truly receive all the abundance that you want in whatever form, whether that's money, whether that's in a relationship romantically or any kind of relationship, whether that's with friends, whether that's with receiving the food that you want to eat, whatever it is, you have to learn to give. Because if you don't give, if you don't understand how to give, how are you going to be able to receive? Who are you going to be receiving from? Reality is one energy. And if you don't give, who's going to give to you? Who's going to give to you? If you don't give to somebody, then they're not going to give to you, because you just want to take. You just want to take. I just want more, I want more. Person's going to say, wait a second, you're not giving anything back here. Why am I here? This is a non-energetically reciprocal relationship. And that's, in other words, a dysfunctional, codependent relationship. And so what I encourage you to do is to start to open yourself up to the idea of, if you can become a powerful giver, you will become a powerful receiver. And if you can learn to become a powerful receiver, then you can be a powerful giver. And knowing when to use which energy in the moment is going to be critical for you to become a master of your personal reality. Because most people, they imbalance themselves in whatever way. They know that all they have to do is just receive. But then they fall into some idea that I need to keep giving. And they don't realize that if they just slow down for a second, the universe will support you on exactly what you intended for. Everything you intended for will fall into your life perfectly. It will just perfectly come in, almost like magic. You'll notice that if you set an intention for something, or you give. Now, this is the thing. I don't want you to give with really an intention to receive, but you want to use your intention-based energies. But that's the thing, though. Like, intention is giving. So you do actually want to give with an intention to receive in some ways. But that might seem like it's coming from ego. It's like, well, Francis, if you're giving with the intention to receive, isn't that coming from ego? Isn't that ego? I would say it's not coming from ego. Because you can do that from a space of ego. It's possible to misinterpret what I'm saying and give only with the intention to receive, and now you're not actually receiving, you're still just giving. People think like, oh, I give and I'm gonna let it go. But then they're still on that thought. They're still thinking about that person or that thing. They're not actually letting it go. And that's not unconditional love. That's your energy being pushed onto somebody or something. And it's not a fun place to be for both parties in whatever kind of relationship it is, whether even it's with a food or something, because everything is a relationship. We're in relationship with everything. So giving actually is intention. But are you going to be doing that from a space of unconditional love? Or are you going to be doing that from a space of ego? Now, how do you know whether you're coming from ego or unconditional love? Honestly, a good parameter is, how do you feel in your body? Does giving feel like an obligation? Does it feel like a difficult process? Or does it feel like you're giving the love that you have within you? And actually giving is just, it feels so amazing and you don't even care if you get anything back. And that's the way to give. That's the most powerful way to give. You don't truly need anything back, but you do get it back because you don't need it. You don't need anything back, and then so you get it back. And that's the key here, is yes, you have an expectation to get something back, but you don't need it. You don't actually need it. And because you don't need it, your intention energies are 10x more powerful than they would regularly be in comparison to how most people function in this society. So I'm kind of going all over the place here once again, but what you need to really understand in this moment in terms of what I'm trying to communicate here is, if you can become a powerful giver, you will be able to become a powerful receiver. Now, if you truly receive, every thought that you think, everything that you give will be so much more potent, so much more powerful, so much more life force energy will be directed, like flowing into that intention, into that giving. So when you say something to somebody, they'll really feel it. They'll really be able to feel what you're giving them in whatever intention you're intending to give in that moment. They're really gonna be able to feel so strongly that you have your cup totally full. And then because you were able to give so freely from that space of abundance, what's gonna happen is that that's also gonna bring more energy right back to you in the most beautiful, energetically balanced way. Do you see what I'm saying? So if you can learn to give from a space of your cup being full, once you're doing that, you're gonna receive back so much more unconditionally. And it just goes both ways. And this is, by the way, I want you to keep in mind here that whatever aspect of reality you're trying to master, whether it's your money situation, whether it's trying to attract a particular person into your life romantically or in any way, whether it's a friend, whatever it is you're trying to manifest, or a job, if you can balance these energies, you'll be able to manifest it a lot quicker. And you'll be able to actually support that person too, because they're going to be able to get exactly what they want. Because we're talking about being in harmony with life itself here. This is not about ego. This is not about getting what you want and then taking away from others. This is the opposite. This is, you get exactly what you want and they get exactly what they want. And you need to learn to be a powerful giver and a powerful receiver in order to do this. Now, number 3, this is the last thing I want to share with you. I encourage you to practice balancing these energies to the best of your abilities. Now, a good question to ask before I go into this is, what is balance for you? That's the question you want to ask yourself. Because when I say practice balancing these energies, it's difficult. What is balance? Balance is an interesting topic. Because for me, sometimes balance is to overly give, but it's not overly giving. It's, I feel called to really give because it just feels so good to give, and I just want to keep giving, and I want to keep giving, and it's like my cup is so full. And then if I notice, nope, I don't have enough to give anymore, I just stop. And that can be an example of overly giving, but I'm overly giving from a space of abundance. So it's not really overly giving. Overly giving I would define as you have to give. That's like overly giving. But overly giving from that space of abundance, what's happening is that that's technically still balance from my perspective. Polarizing to give way more than you normally would because you feel called to, because your energy is just so in balance. In my personal opinion, that is still a very powerful way to be completely in balance with life. You're still totally in harmony when you're quote unquote overly giving in that moment, but you're not overly giving, you're just overextending yourself from a space of want and desire and genuine unconditional love. And maybe you might take a day or two just to totally meditate and just to not do anything. That can be completely in balance and completely valid. And then to not honor that desire, perhaps, to completely surrender and meditate for a couple days, or to give if you genuinely feel called to give, and that's the true desire, that would be considered potentially an imbalance. Because what you truly might want is to just surrender for a day and, polarize into one direction, and that might be the true desire. But then you have an idea in your mind on why you shouldn't do that or whatever reason, and then now you're not balanced anymore. So what I encourage you to do is to sit with what is balance for you in this moment, or even for your life in any moment. You want to be asking yourself, what is balance for you? What is it for you in that moment? Now, so this video can hit home for you right now, what is balance for you? I encourage you to always be practicing to the best of your abilities when you should be shifting more, or when you want to be shifting more into the giving energy and more into the receiving energy. I encourage you to always be conscious of this, but just to help this video hit home as much as possible, I encourage you to, I'm going to ask you this question right now, to think about this. What are you imbalanced in right now? Do you feel like you need to receive more? Do you feel like you've been overly giving people too much energy, things too much energy, circumstances too much energy? Do you need to pull back into yourself a little bit and then reintegrate everything that you've intended for? Or are you just trusting the universe a little bit too much right now, and it's like, it's time to give. I just have this calling to create and to give and to spread all the love that I've built up within myself. Which one do you feel called to do? Do you feel called to pull inward or to push outward? Do you feel called to just be in a balanced state? And if so, what does that even mean to you? Because you can just kind of be, I find that there's times where I can kind of be in both simultaneously, and that really is a powerful way to live, because now you're dancing with life, so to speak, and you can always be in a balance. Like I try to not give too much or to pull back too much, because if you're totally in harmony with life, you don't really need to polarize as much. You can be in that, what's been some people call the middle way. You're totally in the middle way, and that's critical when it comes to you manifesting your reality. So what do you need more balance in? That's a powerful question. What is it that you might need to incorporate into your life to have more balance? And I also encourage you to be conscious of, in any moment when you're imbalanced, and I promise you, if you apply these things to your life, you're going to start to notice that your reality starts to manifest very, very quickly. Everything you intend for will happen quickly, very fast. I intend for something, the universe conspires for me very, very quickly. And then while I'm receiving, I have even more powerful intentions that I didn't even have the capacity to receive before. And then it just keeps going on an upward spiral. And so if this video helped you, then that's pretty much it. That's all I got for you today. If this video helped you, what I want you to do is I want you to hit that like button, because I do want as many people to get access to this content. And hitting the like button does help the algorithm grow this channel. And I do believe that every single person deserves to understand that they are the creators of their reality, and that they can do so in the most effortless way possible. And hitting that like button does help. So leave a comment down below as well what your thoughts are on this video, if this video gave you some value, and if you want to leave a comment. As always, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.